Power supplies. What are power supplies? How can you make one? And what are the two common designs? So right here I have a transformer power supply, which is an old type of power supply that uses a transformer to step down an AC voltage, rectifies it using a full bridge rectifier, a capacitor for smoothing, and I have my own homemade circuit here, homemade soft starter. So right here I have the schematic that includes a linear regulator because I don't have the right transformer. I have a like 20 volt transformer and I need 5. So this is the transformer, then there's the full bridge rectifier, then the capacitor, inductor right here for power smoothing. This is the linear regulator with the capacitors because the linear regulator needs its capacitors. This is the load right here, and this is a charging resistor. I put this at 1K and this at 500 microfarads. And about after 1 second it will turn this MOSFET on. Turning this MOSFET on will allow the load, if you have a motor, because I need it for a motor, will allow it to turn on slowly, so there's no inrush current. You're basically using the MOSFET as a potentiometer. Now, this is a very old power supply, just like I said earlier. Why? Because the transformer is not that efficient, and that's really the main thing. But if you have a switch mode power supply, you can see this is much more complicated. How does a switch mode power supply work? So we know how that small power supply works that gives 5 volts. This power supply gives 5 volts, 3.3 and 12 volts. So how does it work? You still have a full bridge rectifier right here. And that rectifies a voltage, a given voltage that's currently limited by some capacitors on the input. And that goes through some MOSFETs. So first of all, you need a transformer like this. And the MOSFET switch the transformer at a very high frequency. Because it turns out, if you have a ferrite transformer, it's way more efficient than an iron core transformer. So you switch at a high frequency and it's way more efficient. You need a smoothing capacitor. Don't touch this while it's live, you will get electrocuted. And some driving circuitry for the MOSFETs, capacitors for the output, and inductors to smooth everything out. You can change the voltage output and the current by basically changing the frequency and the time it stays on, the MOSFET time that stays on. A simple MOSFET driver you could use would be a 555 timer. You could technically make a homemade switch mode power supply with that, but I'm interested in this thing, so I can show you how I designed it, so you can design yours. This is the circuit schematic right here. This is a linear regulator, 1 kilo ohm, and this is a 500 microfarad. Add an inductor for power correction, and this is our voltage output. This is the little circuit I designed for it. This is the soft starter.